Introducing a completely redesigned experience that you can sense. And that senses you. The new Dell Latitude laptops bring your work closer to you.
He's just a child, but tonight an 11-year-old boy is accused over this brutal attack on a Perth father. Sewage water used to douse a Bullsbrook bushfire. The accident under investigation tonight. This summer scorcher forces the government to activate its heat plan. What it means. Hear a daughter's heartbreaking plea for help to find her mother missing now for 5 days. And WA pole vault sensation Nina Kennedy eyeing the ultimate prize in Paris. She speaks to Matthew Pavlich.
This is 9 News Perth with Michael Thompson.
Good evening. We're about to show you confronting vision of a brutal attack on a father of 2 outside his home in Bentley. What's even more startling, one of those charged is a boy just 11 years old. Tonight, the Premier insists WA doesn't have a youth crime problem, despite a recent spate of attacks and data, which clearly shows a spike in child crime.
It's a sickening attack. A group of 3 kids, including an 11-year-old boy, repeatedly punching, headbutting and kicking a Bentley father.
No, it's so bad that he doesn't deserve that. And they just left him, walked off.
Left lying on the road, the 69-year-old attempts to stand up, but collapses from the onslaught.
So these types of acts are cowardly and abhorrent.
The 6 p.m. bashing unfolding on Ashburton Drive, January 15th. Police say the victim was ambushed after asking the trio to stop throwing rocks at a house before neighbours rushed him to hospital.
He's got quite severe swelling to the side of his face, bruising, and had several lacerations to the inside of his mouth.
The 69-year-old victim didn't want to speak on camera today, fearing for his own family's safety, but told 9 News he hopes his attackers get the help they need. It's the latest in a series of teenagers accused of attacking residents outside their homes across Perth after serious assaults in North Beach and Bayswater over the last 2 months.
Perth does not have a youth crime problem, but what we do have right across all our major metropolitan and high population areas is an increasing disregard for public safety.
But violent youth crime is on the rise in WA. Last financial year, 829 young offenders aged 10 to 17 were caught, 100 more than the previous 12 months and highest in at least 7 years.
We actually do have a problem. Our 10 to 14-year-olds make up nearly 50% of all offenders in our youth crime across the state.
As the manhunt for 2 thugs ramps up.
We will catch these people and we will put them in front of the courts and we will make sure some serious charges are preferred to prevent this from happening again to anybody else in the community.
Michael Stamp, 9 News.
Bullsbrook residents are tonight on alert. A hazmat warning issued for the suburb after sewage water was accidentally used to fight a bushfire, threatening a high school. An investigation now underway into how it happened.
When fires rage, this is a sight we're used to seeing. But some of the water being dropped on yesterday's Bullsbrook fire was collected from a sewage pond.
There were no drops over the top of properties themselves. What we would have witnessed was some drift from the water as the aircraft belly tanks were released.
Risk to health deemed low, but a hazmat warning now in place across the suburb. Bullsbrook College closed today as a precaution. Residents warned to take extra hygiene measures for the next few days, including not eating from their vegetable gardens and emptying any water tanks.
And of course, if you don't feel well, if you have any symptoms that you feel that are warranting medical attention, just to seek that medical attention.
Those 9 News spoke to unfazed.
It doesn't matter what they had to use to put the fire out. Congratulations to them. We appreciate them.
Look, it's not ideal, but the kids are safe, the houses are safe.
The sewage water hasn't left behind a bad smell, and today's conditions will be helpful, neutralising any bad bacteria that's been left behind. An investigation into how it happened is now underway.
In this instance, this body of water was not indicated as a no-go area.
Our priority is to keep people safe, to get the fires out. And in emergency situations, sometimes it doesn't always go to plan.
Amber Wilkinson, 9 News.
There's a health alert tonight as this heat wave ramps up, the mercury hitting 40 degrees in some of our inland suburbs this afternoon. Tomorrow is going to be just as bad, and Jamie Freestone is forcing the government to activate the state's heat plan.
With no relief in sight, Michael, today it's been announced a state health incident control centre has been set up. It's the sort of thing we saw during the pandemic and involves a team of people who'll support the health network during this time. The health department says about 70% of WA's population is being affected by these hot temperatures, and hospital presentations rise 10% in a hot spell like this one.
The health system, well, the Chief Health Officer has stood up a State Health Incident Centre led by an incident commander. We are expecting emergency presentations to increase. We are prepared for that, and the system is prepared for that.
We know that heat waves are the #1 killer as far as natural disasters are concerned.
The main message over the next few days, Michael, stay in the shade, drink plenty of water, look out for our most vulnerable, and remember, don't leave children or pets in parked cars, even for a short time.
It's very good advice. Jamie, thank you. Kellie Haywood live now from Northbridge, and Kel, we're on track for the longest heat wave in 2 years.
Well, Tomo, we are expecting to swelter through 6 consecutive days above 35 degrees, with today being day 2 of the latest heat wave. And unfortunately, Tomo, it is only going to get hotter from here, with 2 more 41-degree days on the cards, plus another heat wave on the way next week. Now, that's where we'll see temperatures similar to today. It hit 40 in several inland suburbs, including the Perth airport and the Swan Valley. Now, it was our warm night that made way for the summer scorcher today. The minimums dipping down to just 22 degrees in Mandurah and Gooseberry Hill. But, Tomo, we have some more uncomfortable nights on the way, with minimums close to 30 degrees. But I'll tell you more about that in the full forecast up later in the bulletin.
We are in for a long haul. Kellie, thank you. A mystery in Cloverdale tonight after a man in his 50s was found unresponsive with head injuries in the eastbound lanes of Abernathy Road. A small section of the road outside Belmont City College closed today as forensic police collected evidence that the victim remains in the intensive care unit at Royal Perth Hospital in a critical condition. The man who left a mother of 5 paraplegic after a hit and run could face a new charge. Braden Lee Bradshaw, due to be sentenced today, but was postponed as the 32-year-old was taken into custody.
He walked into court. Is there anything you want to say to the victim and her family? But didn't walk out. Braden Lee Bradshaw tonight behind bars, giving up his own freedom, not seeking a bail extension. The 32-year-old's lawyer telling the court he had deep and serious remorse for the 2022 Greenfields hit and run, pleading guilty to failing to report an incident occasioning grievous bodily harm to police and failing to provide assistance. The collision leaving Sherry Lee Bonney a paraplegic. After fleeing the scene, Braden Bradford returned with his 5-year-old son posing as a good Samaritan. The victim's family today in court.
We forgive him. It's just owning up to your responsibilities. For any family, if you do harm to another person, be honest about it and just come forward.
But sentencing delayed as the state now looks to lay a 3rd charge, perverting the course of justice. Braden Bradshaw will be back in court in April, just 2 days after Sherry Lee Bonney is set to have hand surgery. Despite that, her family is still hopeful she'll be here to watch the man learn his fate.
She's good at the moment. She's got a lot of operations to come in the next coming months, so yeah, she's going good. She's happy.
Ezra Holt, 9 News.
People don't just vanish into thin air. Family of missing Victorian mother Samantha Murphy in an emotional appeal for help today to bring her home. Samantha's daughter calling her mother strong 5 days after she disappeared.
For 5 days, Jess Murphy's mum has been missing.
Mum, we love you so much and we miss you and we need you at home with us.
The eldest daughter of Samantha Murphy somehow finding the strength to make this heart-wrenching plea.
Mum's a really strong woman and she's far too determined to give up this fight. I know she's out there somewhere, so if you could please continue to search for her, to give us something to work with, we'd really appreciate it.
By her side, her dad and Sam's husband Mick.
People just don't vanish into thin air. Someone's got to know something.
There are no suspicious circumstances that we've identified at this stage.
The 51-year-old mother of 3 left her home in Ballarat East on Sunday morning to go for a jog at 7 o'clock. 16 minutes later, a woman was captured on CCTV close by. But tonight, police have confirmed it wasn't Sam. Their only clue now, on Sunday afternoon, her phone pinged near a golf club 14 kilometres from her home. The theory is she was heading towards Canadian Forest, her regular running route. That's where the search continued today. Volunteers back on bikes, others trekking for kilometres in the hope of a breakthrough.
Any little thing that you might think's relevant, just call the police, let them know. It'll give us a bit of peace of mind if we get some hope from someone.
Sam has never gone missing before. Her disappearance is completely out of character. But despite every day that passes, her family isn't giving up.
Please come home soon. I can't wait to see you and to give you the biggest hug when I do and to tell you off for giving us so much stress. I love you.
Sophie Walsh, 9 News.
Outback Wrangler TV star Matt Wright is facing fresh charges tonight which could send him to jail. Wright's accused of reckless conduct by Northern Territory WorkSafe, charged with failing to maintain a safe aircraft, allegedly falsifying flight hours of a helicopter which crashed near Darwin in 2022, killing his friend and co-star Chris Wilson. If found guilty, he could face up to 5 years jail or a $1.2 million fine, or both. There are renewed calls tonight to end greyhound racing in WA. The City of Canning Mayor labelling the death rate at the Cannington track embarrassing as the industry defends its safety record.
Children trackside at Cannington. A dog is about to fall and break its neck.
Oh, trouble there. Columbus Manelli has fallen. We have a problem with Columbus Manelli.
The local mayor says enough is enough.
I personally would like to see it close. If it closed today, I'd be the happiest mayor in the state.
Last year, 13 dogs died at Cannington. It hosts more meets than any other WA track.
I'm embarrassed that it happens to occur right here in the city of Canning. I can't think of a good reason why today in 2024 we need to gamble on a pack of dogs racing around a track.
Patrick Hall is gunning for a seat in federal parliament, but insists his stance is no stunt, citing research from Free the Hounds, showing Cannington's record is Australia's worst.
We made the deadliest track last year, Cannington did, with 13 deaths, and there was well over 80 major injuries.
Racing WA declined an interview on camera, instead issuing a statement defending the sport's safety, saying 99.7% of dogs finish their race uninjured. Saying we are fully committed to conducting thorough investigations into each incident, aiming to uncover potential causes and implement continuous improvements.
We have very strict protocols and arrangements in place and continue to work with the industry to ensure that we keep those animals safe.
Michael Genovese, 9 News.
Despite a strike by 250 Qantas pilots, Perth Airport seemed to be mostly business as usual today. 10,000 passengers impacted as 35 return flights were cancelled. Network aviation pilots haven't had a pay rise since 2019 and want to be brought in line with East Coast pilots.
They're basic items that are enjoyed by Qantas pilots across the Qantas group. Things like 10 days off in a roster period. Things like not starting before 6 o'clock after your days off. Things like an increased overtime rate.
The union today threatening more strike action. Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister has addressed a historic joint sitting of Parliament. His visit comes as the struggle between China and America plays out in our backyard.
A show of defensive might for a people that once defended our shores. Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister James Marape and a grand welcome. This walk reserved for the world's most powerful. Today, trod by the leader of our nearest neighbour.
Mr Speaker, the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea.
Addressing a joint sitting of Parliament, the first leader of a Pacific nation to do so.
It will be a decisive decade for us, and it can be a decisive decade because of us.
With recent unrest at home, Mr Marape thanked Australia, promising a generation of cooperation.
Do not give up on Papua New Guinea. We have always bounced back from our low moments.
As the Prime Minister spoke, 2 floors above, a Chinese dragon welcomed in the new year. A reminder of the power struggle between Beijing and the West, playing out in the Pacific and in PNG.
In a world of many relations with many nations, nothing will come in between our two countries.
Tonight, while China has money, Australia is relying on rugby league. The Prime Minister presented with the Queensland jersey and more funding for development. This hard game, the ultimate soft diplomacy.
I hope the day will come when the people of Papua New Guinea can cheer for a team of their own in the National Rugby League.
Yeah. From strength comes security, and from security comes stability, and from stability comes prosperity.
The sentiments and significance of the speech will please Australia and our allies, but words must be backed by actions.
I know we live in a different era, and we're not going back to where we were.
The grip on our region a little tighter tonight. Charles Croucher, 9 News. Today was about regional security, but tonight there is rumbling in our ranks. Defence Minister Richard Marles saying Australia's defence heads and Defence Force have a way to go before they reach the appropriate level of excellence. Any objective observer would say defence procurement and planning is slow and expensive. Now, at a time of instability and threats in our region, the Minister's displeasure is public, and that carries risks all of its own.
Prince William has seen the lighter side of his wife's health troubles and the King's cancer diagnosis. He joked his way through a charity gala as brother Harry jetted back to LA after meeting their father for just 30 minutes.
First day back at work with family front of mind.
We really appreciate everyone's kind messages, thank you.
Prince William arriving at a gala for London's air ambulance charity, and his return to duty had a boost of star power. Tom Cruise, a surprise guest at the event. The Mission Impossible star, a keen helicopter pilot. The future king, a former air ambulance pilot himself, met with medical crews before addressing the medical battles in his own family. King Charles is off public duty after being diagnosed with cancer, and wife Kate is still recovering from abdominal surgery.
I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you also for the kind messages of support for Catherine and for my father, especially in recent days. It means a great deal to us all. It's fair to say the past few weeks have had a rather medical focus, so I thought I'd come to an air ambulance function to get away from it all.
The Prince finding humour in what's been a trying time.
And Tom, if you wouldn't mind not borrowing either of the new helicopters for the next Mission Impossible, it would be appreciated. We've all seen on our screens that, how can I put it, you seem to have a different take on normal wear and tear to the rest of us.
This signals a new era for Prince William as a working royal. As next in line to the throne, many of the King's tasks and responsibilities will fall to him, and he'll have to balance it all while supporting his father and the Princess of Wales. Earlier in the day, the Prince handed out honours at Windsor, while his brother Harry made a hasty exit from the country. The Duke of Sussex flew back to California just 24 hours after landing in London, where he saw his father for half an hour and stayed the night at a hotel.
I think that the King is tired. He's gone back to Sandringham to rest and recuperate. We expect him back to London weekly to have these appointments. Whether Harry and him can even sort of repair their relationship. He didn't see Prince William. That speaks volumes.
The King will still do official paperwork from Sandringham. He held his weekly audience with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak over the phone, taking some time to rest, but with plenty of support on hand. In London, Edward Godfrey, 9 News.
A call for calm next from a family going through hell. The grieving daughter of murdered Queensland grandmother, Vilene White, speaks out next. Is one of Australia's oldest and largest tyre retailers set to close? A gas leak blast in Montreal forces childcare centre evacuations. And the deadly snake found hiding underneath a baby's cot. The grieving daughter of Vilene White has unleashed on Queensland's Premier over his remark the grandmother's murder couldn't have been prevented. Comes as Vilene's family stands with the African community calling for calm.
Uniting in honour of Vilene White, her daughter Cindy at pains to show she doesn't blame Brisbane's African communities for her mother's death, but clearly harbours anger towards the Premier.
Step up or step out.
Stephen Miles visited their family's home to offer his condolences after the 70-year-old grandmother was allegedly murdered by a 16-year-old boy.
Walked through my front door and, you know, and then walked out and did a conference and, laughed it off.
The Premier categorically denies that's what he was doing and was in fact laughing at a journalist's suggestion he should have mentioned youth crime during a speech about housing.
There wasn't a single reference to youth crime in your speech.
It was a speech about housing. I figured I'd get a question.
Nonetheless, the absence of any reference to youth crime in your speech to the Queensland Media Club would have been noted.
But this comment also has Vilene White's family seeing red.
But nobody can seriously stand up and say they could have prevented this murder.
You know what? I was really glad he said it, because I'm like, you're not the man for the job. If you can't reassure people in the community that this is at the utmost priority.
The Premier's office says he was unaware when making the comment that Vilene's accused killer was at the time already on bail for 3 alleged armed robberies.
Of course, any crime is concerning, any tragedy is concerning, and we will do all we can to address it and work with the police service as well.
But the number of youths committing crimes has skyrocketed since 2015, with police data showing stolen car offences have more than tripled from almost 2,000 to more than 7,000. Robberies also tripling from around 400 to 1,400, while break-ins have more than doubled.
We all need to feel safe.
Calling for tougher youth justice laws, but also for calm, following reports that since 5 youths were arrested over the death, the wider African community's been targeted.
A lot of verbal abuse. Many people have got bottle thrown at them.
You don't judge the whole community by a couple of bad apples.
Kate Lamb, 9 News.
Tyre retailer Bow Repairs could be set to close, jeopardising hundreds of jobs. It's being reported up to 600 jobs could be lost across the country, where the tyre company has close to 100 stores.
You've got supply chain issues with various wars around the world. But then if you couple that up with consumer confidence, you've got rate rises, you've got inflation, you've got governments changing policy mid-term, and that really sort of all of it goes towards whether people are going to spend money.
We reached out to Bow Repairs. The company's official response was no comment. Voters are heading to the polls in Pakistan to have their say in the general election, less than 24 hours after 2 electorate offices were bombed in the country's southwest. Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attacks which killed at least 28 people. More action than usual outside London's Old Bailey today. The criminal court precinct evacuated due to a fire in an electrical substation nearby. Prisoners marched out and judges and jurors forced to wait in the cold before being told to go home. And fire and ice in Montreal, where a gas leak led to an explosion after setting 2 cars on fire in the Canadian city. 3 workers were treated for minor injuries and 2 childcare centres were evacuated. The pipe accidentally ruptured by an excavator. A mother looking for nappies in her toddler's nursery has found a red-bellied black snake hiding under the cot. She quickly closed the door on the metre-long deadly reptile and called a snake catcher.
They are so lucky because they are highly venomous snakes, especially if a bit of child. She's sort of lucky that she did see it when she did, because things could have turned out a lot different.
It's believed the snake entered through a gap in the front door. Turning of the sod on a once controversial Perth development. Next, work underway on WA's first hospice for sick children. Arrested for a Las Vegas sphere stunt that was live-streamed. An outbreak threatens Brazil's biggest party. And she's chasing solo gold at Paris. Pav sits down with WA pole vault champion Nina Kennedy. The Health Minister is calling for a rethink to funding for private mental health clinics. Bethesda's Coburn facility set to shut down in 2 weeks. The healthcare provider claiming staff shortages and insufficient rebates from insurers.
There's work that needs to be done by the private health funds and the Commonwealth Government around the Medicare rebate for that work. Currently, the private health funds pay below break-even for those inpatient consultations.
Amajade Sanderson says the state is working with Bethesda to take over the clinic. Meantime, construction of WA's first children's hospice is underway with a sod-turning ceremony in Swanbourne this morning. The facility to help children with life-limiting conditions like 4-year-old Winston.
It will be a safe haven. It will be a home away from home when times are tough, but when it's not important to go into a hospital to have clinical care, but the care that a palliative care team can provide.
The centre has been named Budjamaya or Sandcastle and should open late next year. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has sensationally rejected a ceasefire deal proposed by Hamas. Instead, he's renewing his pledge to destroy the group as the US launches a fresh retaliation strike.
On the streets of Baghdad, fire roaring from a car at the site where America struck back. A targeted drone hit launched by the US, taking out a vehicle. It was carrying a Kataib Hezbollah commander and 2 of his men. The US Central Command says the Iranian-backed militia leader was responsible for directly planning and participating in attacks on US forces. The Pentagon says there were no civilian casualties, but in Baghdad there is anger. America is the devil, they scream. This is the 4th round of retaliatory hits launched by the US in response to the deaths of 3 American service members last month. In Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stamping out hopes of a ceasefire in Gaza, rejecting a proposed deal from Hamas, labelling demands as delusional and doubling down that Israel can win this war.
The victory is achievable. It's not a matter of years or decades. It's a matter of months.
The steadfast stance is a blow to America's top diplomat, Antony Blinken, back in Tel Aviv and intensifying efforts to secure a breakthrough.
While there are some clear non-starters in Hamas's response, we do think it creates space for agreement to be reached.
In the United States, Lauren Tomazi, 9 News.
A man has been arrested after scaling the Las Vegas Sphere concert venue. The professional climber, who calls himself pro-life Spider-Man, was raising money for a pregnant woman, live streaming the stunt all the way to the top. A health emergency has been declared in Rio de Janeiro amid a surge in dengue fever cases. Mass vaccinations are now underway as fumigators work to help contain the spread of the mosquito-borne disease ahead of the city's famous Carnival. WA pole vaulter Nina Kennedy is determined to claim outright gold at the Paris Olympics after sharing the victory at last year's World Championships. The Busselton-born vaulter sat down with Matthew Pavlich.
Nina Kennedy knows what it takes to taste gold medal glory.
And tonight in Hungary, Nina Kennedy and American Katie Moon have decided, let's do the same thing.
Sharing in the spoils, now driving her dream of standalone success.
There was a fire in my belly before, but I feel like now it's even bigger heading towards the Olympics because it's like, OK, now I want the outright gold medals.
The 26-year-old standing by her call to split the World Championship gold medal with American Katie Moon, but hungry to go one better.
I made the correct decision in that moment, but going forward to the Olympics, I don't want revenge, but, you know, I want that outright medal.
Making no secret of her plans for Paris.
You know, I'm there to win, I'm rolling the dice, I'm putting it all out on the line and, you know, I've been very public about that, but that's what I'm doing and hopefully I can bring that gold medal back.
Kennedy already experiencing the highs and lows of professional sport, claiming Commonwealth Games gold in 2022, but failing to fire in the Tokyo Games, finishing 12th in the qualifier due to injury, with a lack of crowds also compromising the experience.
So the Olympics I went to were the COVID Olympics, so it was very different. So I am really excited to go to Paris.
The Busselton product now chasing consistency on the international stage.
After last season, it has actually just filled me and I'm like, I can compete on the world stage. I'm a big-time performer. I'm not going to do anything differently. I'm the best in the world for a reason. It's because what I've done has worked.
In a sport driven on reaching great heights, Kennedy keeping grounded, knowing what it takes to get gold medal ready.
It's getting back to work, you know, we got to work.
Training partner Curtis Marshall in awe of her focus.
She's a phenomenal athlete. She does all the things that you got to do to be the best in the world, and I'm just like following in her footsteps.
Moving to Perth aged 7, Kennedy's love of the sport blossoming while competing at the Perry Lakes Little Athletics Club.
I loved athletics. I just freaking loved it so much. You know, I'd beg my mum to take me to the Little Athletics Centre.
Thriving in her home state, the strength of the Perth program allowing her to stay close to her family and friends.
I've just been really lucky and fortunate that I haven't had to pack up and get out of Perth because I do love Western Australia.
Viewing the pressure as a privilege, Kennedy now ready to peak in Paris.
I love competing and I love the pressure and I love the expectation of a big moment and rising to that. So Yeah, I'm so excited. We're going to do amazing.
Go Aussies.
Yes, go Aussies.
Matthew Pavlich, 9 News.
Good luck to Nina. The added bonus for Australian men who take Viagra after sport, researchers find a link between erectile dysfunction drugs and Alzheimer's. And inside the palatial penthouse with a $100 million price tag. But first, Paddy Sweeney is here with Sport. And Paddy, Australia's best cricketer is on the outer.
That's right, Tomo. It'll be a different look for Mitch Marsh when leading the Aussies against the West Indies. The WA all-rounder keeping his distance in tomorrow's T20. While the Eagles' prize pick won't feature in tonight's intra-club hit-out, we're live to Lathlane, and how a son of a gun is doing his legendary dad proud.
Incredibly fun, remarkably functional, and effortlessly stylish. Introducing the all-new Ford Puma. A compact SUV that really packs a punch. Looking good has never been this easy. Secure yours today. The all-new Ford Puma. Effortlessly stylish.
Australian T20 captain Mitch Marsh is expected to face the West Indies tomorrow despite testing positive for COVID. The West Aussie, part of the team assembling in Hobart ahead of the first T20 fixture this year, with one eye on June's World Cup.
One final hit out for the Aussies ahead of their T20 series opener. All smiles for Marcus Stoinis, WA teammate Mitch Marsh missing in action in a far from ideal build-up for the COVID-positive captain.
So I think he'll be fine. I haven't spoken about contingency plans yet, but no, I think he'll play, he'll be all right.
Matthew Wade filling in for the pre-match media conference. Tomorrow he'll take the gloves like he has in all 51 of his previous T20s. But with WA's Josh Inglis also in the squad, spots are on the line for the World Cup.
Is there room for both of you guys in this side? Yeah, I think there is, absolutely.
The series against the West Indies and next month's 3 matches against New Zealand, the only preparation the Aussies will get before June.
It's important for us to start to get our combinations together. Luckily enough, over the last couple of years, we've kind of, especially as a batting unit, we're kind of getting some continuity through that order. So, yeah, continue to create bonds.
And after a disrupted summer, WA quick Matt Kelly's domestic season is over. The 29-year-old set for pectoral surgery after injuring himself in the loss to New South Wales. Erin Harwood, 9 News.
The historic Women's Cricket Tour continues for South Africa, recording a maiden one-day win against Australia. The visitors reaching 6 for 229 in a rain-affected match before bowling the Aussies out for 149. Marizanne Kapp doing the damage, taking 3 for 12.
Oh, yes! Middle stump. She is on fire at North Sydney Oval, Kapp.
The all-rounder with a player of the match performance following her 75 with the bat. The series will be decided in Saturday's third and final match. The Eagles' preparations for the 2024 season take another step forward tonight. Live to Alexia Pesce at their intra-club hit-out, and Lex, things are heating up.
They are, Paddy. Now, with round 1 about 5 weeks away, match sim is a key focus. It's currently sitting around 33 to 35 degrees, which is why the Eagles are out here tonight instead of tomorrow morning with another massive heat wave on the way. But it's probably not the worst session to miss. Harley Reid is sitting this one out, but it's nothing to worry about. The club has confirmed it's just a deload week for their prize recruit. Now, they're playing roughly 100 minutes. And it's been split into the best v the seconds. Now, starting in that best side was Matt Flynn in the ruck. He, of course, came across from GWS in the off-season, and with Bailey Williams pushing forward. Elliot Yeo also started on that side in the midfield, where we know he can be at his damaging best. Now, with Jack Darling, Liam Ryan, Dom Sheed and Elijah Hewitt all out of that best 22, the hope tonight is to just get through unscathed. Paddy?
Eagles fans keeping their fingers crossed. Lex, thanks for the update. Wildcat Hiram Harris admits Perth is running out of time to recapture their best form ahead of finals. The Cats dropping their past 2 home games ahead of Saturday's clash with Cairns. Hiram says they've addressed their inconsistent form.
I think the biggest thing we talk about is we kind of got to find our edge. We've got to find what makes us a really great team again. I think we've went away from it.
Perth can secure a top 2 finish with victory against the Taipans. And motorsport legend Mick Doohan is backing his son to make his mark on the Formula One circuit. Jack will be Alpine's full-time reserve driver again this year, and his dad is predicting big things for his boy.
I believe that he'll end up in a position somewhere next year,
But at this point in time, there's still a bit of work to be done, so he can't give up the dream or the goal to trying to reach that seat.
Doohan Jr. finishing 4th on the Formula 2 circuit last season. So a name of the past.
Legend.
Absolute legendary,
Yes.
and hopefully a name of the future to continue to follow, Tomo.
Talk about legendary. How'd you like to be playing a footy match tonight like the Eagles in this heat?
I'd like to be like Harley Reid and sitting it out, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a warm-up. Paddy, thank you. I knew I was going to do that one night. Thank you, Paddy. An encouraging find for experts looking at the link between Viagra and dementia. That is next. Plus, we take you inside a castle in the clouds, and this heat wave has settled in. Kellie, another scorcher tomorrow.
Well, Tomo, we may be nearing the end of summer, but there's certainly no reprieve on the way. We have 2 days topping 41 degrees coming up, but I'll have more on that very soon.
They say in Sydney, property is king, but this one might just reign supreme. A 2-level penthouse at the very top of the Crown Hotel, and residents will have breathtaking views and a price tag to match.
Welcome to a home like no other, a palatial 2-level penthouse sitting in the clouds above Sydney.
It's very rare. It is an incredible piece of real estate here in Sydney, and I am fairly convinced that it will probably never happen again.
There are 800 square metres of internal space and another 50 in outdoor areas, and from every room, views, views, views. 360 degrees from the Royal National Park in the south to the Blue Mountains in the west and the Pacific Ocean to the east. Inside, no luxury has been spared. This state-of-the-art kitchen is one of 2.
Appliances and finishes here are far from ordinary.
Absolutely. We've tried to find the best. So we have Wolf and Sub-Zero for the appliances. We have quartzite here on the work surfaces, and the raised bench there is in marble.
The master bedroom, walk-through robe and a bathroom with jacuzzi and steam shower are together larger than many entire apartments.
So this has to be one of the best places to wake up in Sydney.
Not too bad. Incredible sunset and sunrise views from the master suites.
In all, there are 6 bedrooms with en-suites. There's an office for very posh working from home, a gym, cinema room, internal lift and much, much more.
We do have a number of outdoor spaces here. So there's 3 different balconies, all really spacious. This one, though, yes, private plunge pool. You can sit here, enjoy a beautiful glass of champagne and watch all the activity out on the harbour.
This is one of 76 residences in the Crown Complex, but it is the highest. Interest has come mainly from Sydney-siders, but it has been on the market for a little while. Experts say that's hardly unusual.
The higher the price, the smaller the buyer pool. It is rarefied air when you're looking at a $100 million price tag. You're looking at, AFR rich listers, very wealthy foreign buyers, but it's a tiny, tiny part of the buyer pool.
Now, at this price, you don't just get this incredible view and apartment, you also get access to everything the hotel below has to offer, including 24-hour concierge, valet parking, room service dining and access to the tennis court and spa. And as a resident, you'll be treated as a VIP.
That is a first for Australia. This is Australia's first fully integrated hospitality branded residence.
All with an extraordinary price tag, but then nothing about this home is ordinary. Eddie Meyer, 9 News.
Alzheimer's researchers believe they've made an encouraging finding. Men who take erectile dysfunction drugs such as Viagra and Cialis are 18% less likely to be diagnosed with the most common form of dementia. The UK study examined nearly 270,000 men with an average age of 59. Scientists now hope to begin a clinical trial to look at the effects of these drugs on Alzheimer's in women as well. Uber has never managed to make a profit until now, but after 14 years, the global rideshare company says this is a turning point. Finance editor Chris Kohler explains.
Plenty have doubted whether Uber's massive global network would ever translate into profit, but it's finally happening. The company announced an operating profit of $1.1 billion overnight, its first one ever. The CEO is calling it a turning point, but have a look at the share price over the last year. It's doubled. So investors must have quietly decided the turning point was a while ago. Here in Australia, our share market was slightly higher today. Transurban fell despite the toll road company announcing higher profits from drivers, while AGL Energy was the best performer after telling the market its half-year profit is up a huge 359%, which means customers might start asking a few extra questions about their power bills. And the Australian dollar was weaker against most major currencies, buying 65 US cents and 60.5 euro cents.
This hot weather may have you feeling a little crabby, but according to Carl Langdon, that is a good thing. Here's Fish Watch.
With a hot weather forecast, now's the time to get out crabbing, both in the Swan and Canning River as well as the Peel Harvey Estuary. Just like Ken Dickinson did and sent us this magnificent picture of son Lachlan holding a giant blue manna crab taken from the Swan River. While in the Peel Harvey Estuary, the Bletchingtons had a day out, reaching their boat limit of 20 crabs in no time. Little Teddy said it was the best day of his life. From the beach, Sal Tapini nailed a good-sized mulloway in the south. To the north at Lucky Bay, Cobus Dessels had success with a little GT. That was released after a quick snap. Sharon Dersh had a day out in the mangroves in the Kimberley and posed for a photo with a lovely mangrove jack. At Port Gregory Beach, Brenda Delavadova sent us this pic of a dart, a great fish to catch. Not great eating though. A couple of the biggest tailor I've seen feature this week. One was caught by Brendan Klein, measuring 90 centimetres, a personal best at Kalbarri. And this one of Shane Trebley's, measuring over 1,100 millimetres and weighing roughly 7 to 8 kilos. But taking the cake this week is Paul Whitehead, who endured a 4-hour fight to boat a 4-metre 283 kilogram blue marlin on 37 kilogram line, which was 12 kilos off the state record in Exmouth. Don't forget, if you're heading out into this heat, wear a hat and cover up with sunscreen. And make sure that you send us your pictures and videos to 9 on Facebook. And I'll see you here next week. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Carl. And it's been an adrenaline-fuelled day at work for a keeper at the Australian Reptile Park. Houdini, the American gator, wrangled out of the water and restrained after a foreign object was found in his mouth. Keeper Billy risking life and limb to pull out more than 1 metre of sporting tape. Let's watch him pull it out. Here he goes. Here it comes. Out of his mouth. A risky job indeed. How did the sporting tape get there? We don't know. It's only going to get hotter as we head into the weekend. Kelly's live forecast is next.
Switch on a Daikin Alira X split system with advanced streamer technology to remove more than 99% of harmful indoor air pollutants and surround yourself with cleaner air this summer. Daikin, perfecting the air.
Welcome back to a very warm evening down here at Yagan Square. Now, the temperature may have dipped, but it certainly doesn't feel that way. Right now, it's sitting on 34.1 degrees here in the city, and we can only expect it to get warmer over the coming days, with a trough along the coast allowing hot air to build in much of the state, with a severe heatwave warning in place until Saturday. And then that heat will start to move east, but before then, Adelaide will enjoy a sunny 29 degrees tomorrow, a top of just 22 in Melbourne, Canberra sunny and 28, a partly cloudy 27 ahead for Sydney, Brisbane 29 degrees, and in Darwin it will be 31 degrees. Crossing back into WA, storms and 36 degrees ahead for those in Broome, sunshine and 40 in Exmouth. And that sunshine will stretch right down the coast, a top of 37 in Bunbury and 33 in Augusta. Out on the waters tomorrow, seas and swell are set to reach 1 metre, while winds will peak at 15 knots. And the water will be the place to be tomorrow. We are looking at a top of 41 degrees down into a low of 23, and it'll be just as hot on Saturday. We won't be seeing much reprieve overnight either, with a minimum of just 25. Cooling ever so slightly for your Sunday, 37 the top there. Then enjoy the 33-degree Monday, because that is as cool as it's going to get. It'll warm to 35 on Tuesday, and then for your Wednesday and Thursday, a top of 38 down into an uncomfortable 27-degree minimum on Thursday night, and that is not what you want to hear after yet another scorching summer's day, Tomo.
And 38 and 38 in the middle of next week as well. Kelly, thank you. And that is 9 News for this Thursday. Thanks for your company. A current affair is next. Don't forget, Today Perth live from 6:30 tomorrow morning. Stay cool. Good night.